Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about the movie The Farewell. Not only do I want this to kind of be a bit of a official review for the movie, I want to kind of pose a question and have a discussion about a certain way of watching movies that watching this movie again brought to mind. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really interesting, really great discussion, I think, to continue having in the comments down below. So let's get ready to jump in. Let's talk about The Farewell. Welcome once again. My name is Austin, and I actually just rewatched for the first time the movie The Farewell. This movie originally came out in the mid-end of 2019, I believe. I watched it actually 4 years ago, nearly to this day, within like this week in 2020, and that was my first time experiencing the movie, and it had a huge impact on me. Not only did I love and appreciate the filmmaking of it, but it had a very deep emotional resonance with me at the same time. I finally built up the strength to watch this movie again because it wrecked me the first time. It was the first movie in a long time, if ever, to just make me bawl my eyes out by the end of this movie. And so I was interested in checking it out and revisiting it as things had changed in my life and the circumstances and how I related to and empathized with the movie and the characters. So I revisited it and absolutely loved it, even a little bit more than I liked it the first time. The first time I watched this movie, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. This viewing, I gave it the 5 out of 5 stars. And I absolutely loved everything about it, from the filmmaking to the performances. Like, let's just jump into it, starting with the filmmaking and all that. So it's beautifully shot. It's a movie that is, nothing highly stylized in its cinematography and its direction, but it just feels so authentic and genuine, almost in some situations, kind of having a documentary feel to certain types of shots. And then besides that, you have the characters as well. We have Billy, played by Awkwafina, that we follow for the majority of the movie. And we're essentially following her and her family as they have found out that the matriarch of their family, the grandmother, has this cancer illness that is going to kill her in the very near future. She has stage 4 cancer, lung cancer, and she's not got much time left. And so in order to bring the family back together without necessarily focusing on that result, they throw together a wedding for one of her cousins and his girlfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call it. And basically the kicker of this is the grandmother has no idea that she has any kind of serious illness, cancer, anything like that. She just thinks we're getting together for a wedding. It's been nearly 10 or 20 years since the family has gotten together on this scale. And so all the cousins, the aunts and uncles, they've all traveled back to China from Japan and America, of where they have all kind of emigrated to in order to have this final time together as a family. So if you're not familiar with the movie, that's the gist of it. But what's really the main focus and the heart of this movie is dealing with those emotions and feelings and not necessarily being able to express them. One of the big things with this movie is her family, Billy's family, played by Awkwafina, did not want her to come because she's so emotional and not necessarily explosive, but so external with her feelings and crying and stuff. And they're not wanting to risk the grandmother finding out through that, or just focus on those sad, negative emotions. They want to focus on the fact that this is the last time they're going to be together and the positivity of this wedding that they have crafted. What I love about this movie is, as someone who proudly proclaims myself as an introvert, so much of this movie is internal, whether it's the emotions that they're feeling, the thoughts that they're having. An incredible amount of emotion and communication is done through body language, eye contact, facial expressions, all of that. And each of the actors that are portraying this movie, like I said, you have Awkwafina, then we also have Tzi Ma and Diana Lin as Billy's parents, and all three of them, I think, are the standouts for me. Their performances are all incredible, especially Diana Lin, a fantastic performance, as you just get to see what it's like for someone to immigrate to another country and then come back to that country, and especially Billy, feel like a fish out of water or a bit of an outcast amongst her own culture. And that's such a thin margin to convey well. And then besides that, you're just put through the ringer with all of these emotions of these characters. It's a very sad, somber, in many ways depressing movie. It has its moments of humor. It gives you its laughs and fun here and there. But as a whole, it's a very downer of a movie, even though the ending leaves you in a place that is kind of hopeful in certain ways. I won't spoil the ending here for what kind of happens with the results of everything with the grandmother, but just know it's an emotionally draining movie in many kinds of ways. And the primary reason that this movie resonates with me so much and impacts me on such a deep emotional level is the family themes of this movie. I am not, an immigrant family, so I don't relate to the family in that kind of way. But as someone who cares deeply about my family, and so many of my best memories growing up are with my family, the whole heaviness of the familial, traditional themes and ties within this movie really impact me deeply. And then when I originally watched this movie for the first time, it was within a year or so of my grandmother passing away. So it kind of brought back to the surface all of those emotions and feelings that I had experienced in losing my grandmother. And then with that being a similar theme to the movie itself as well, it was very raw still kind of at the time. And so I was curious in revisiting the movie if I would have that similar kind of experience. And while I don't think it necessarily was, as I've, worked through and gone through all of that with losing my grandmother, just the movie story in itself still impacts me in that kind of way. So even further removed from the freshness of losing someone that I was close to and a grandparent, it's still really interesting and cool to me that the movie is so impactful just on that familial level, and that it can really tap into me and my emotions and feelings in that way. I absolutely love it from a filmmaking perspective. I think it's a perfect movie. It's just one of those films that just hits on every level. Like I said, I give it a perfect 5 out of 5 score. So that's kind of my thoughts of how this movie's impacted me a little bit, as well as what I think of it, especially after watching the movie this time. The first time I watched the movie, I streamed it by myself on Amazon Prime Video. This time in rewatching it, I had since bought it on Blu-ray, I think not long after I watched it on Amazon, in intention of watching it again, and I just never got around to it until now because I didn't think I could get through it again. And again, I watched the movie by myself, but after watching it, I thought to myself, I don't think I could watch that movie with anyone else. The way that the movie just emotionally impacts me, the feelings and memories and all that it brings to the surface when I'm watching this movie, it's a very private and personal experience for me through this film. Like I said, it's the only movie that I can remember that leaves me sobbing by the end of it. And I haven't seen every movie that's out there of all the sad ones, but this is the movie that I will go to say, this movie makes me bawl my eyes out. I absolutely just lose it by the end of the final act, this whole final scene and sequence of it. I thought I would get through it this time. I had a couple of moments where I teared up throughout the movie, but then we reached that climax and I lost it. And so I wanted to pose the question, what are some movies that you would only ever experience on your own? Not necessarily for the mature nature of the movie, not like something that would be like a guilty pleasure where you'd be like embarrassed to watch it with other people, but something that just is so vulnerable for you to experience as a movie that you appreciate the fact that you can experience that privately and you want to keep it that way to kind of maintain the specialness that movie has to you. So I would love to have you join me in the comments down below. What are some movies or even some TV shows that are something that you will only ever or would choose to only ever experience yourself, you think, for the most part? I would love to hear that discussed in the comments down below. I think this is a fantastic movie to kind of kick off that conversation because for me, this is one of the few movies in my collection I don't think I ever want to watch with someone else. I just want it to be me and this movie and everything that we're going to go through from beginning to end. So let me know. Join me in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of review discussion, and I hope you're joining me in the comments below with your thoughts and some picks of your own and some recommendations and suggestions for others. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I will see you in the next one.